Oof. Hopefully the lighting is okay. What do you think of my green screen? No green screen, no music, no ambiance, no candles, no nothing. Did open the window though, so maybe we can get some birds chirping. There you go. Dogs barking maybe, I don't know. Countryside stuff. So anyway, I've tried to make this video a few times. It's ended up being like 30 minutes, so I got to try and shorten it down. Quick shout out to those of you who contributed to my Ko-Fi. My YouTube partnership was put on, well, it was taken away from me because of lack of activity. So I can't make anything from YouTube. So the people who have, I will name you at the end of the video. Those of you who contributed, you've really made such a huge difference for me. I didn't realize actually how much my credit card was spiraling, because it's one of those credit cards you get when you're trying to re-establish your credit in the UK, which has taken years for me to try and get that sorted, because, well, whatever, it is what it is. I was quite surprised to realize when I got back to the UK after 15, 16 years that the credit agencies had wiggled their way in here. They never used to be here when I first went out to America, and I've always thought it was a scam, still do. Anyway, let's get back to this thing, my life, as it were. BornFree. So BornFree was all about passion, right? So the whole thing was driven by an immense amount of passion from me, and a few things happened. There was I ran out of money, so you know, traveling around to every single tournament and getting these players is not cheap. Occasionally I would get sponsorship, which was wonderful, just not enough. But it was amazing. Like, for instance, when people would come together and sponsor me on our Street Fighter, incredible. When Red Bull sponsored me, when Evo sponsored me, when some of the tournaments would pay me, when I got paid to do some live stuff, that was a wonderful day. That's in my profile picture when Takedo won Brooklyn Beatdown. That was a fantastic day. I loved that so much. I really felt like I was part of things for a moment in time. The producer was a big fan, not fan, or maybe fan's the right word. I don't know. The producer liked my work, and so I did these sort of live interviews on stream where I would just ask one or two probing questions, and you know, they didn't always turn out to be that probing, but some of them were. I think I asked Daigo something about why he dropped Ryu, and it was a really fun interaction, or like it felt like a really worthwhile, to me, like a really good interaction. Anyway, I've gone off script again. Just there's so much I can talk about, and we'll turn every single thing I'll turn into a video at some point. But life-wise, BornFree, ran out of money, ran out of passion. Sort of had that feeling where you fall out of love with someone. So when something is 100% passion, if you fall out of love, fall out of the passion, it's kind of fucked. It's pretty doomed after that. And then COVID came in, boom, COVID. So I didn't really want to do Zoom calls. Like, I've always felt the power of my interviews was being in the room with someone, controlling the environment, having their full attention, making them feel comfortable. Just, you know, so different from potentially somebody being on a screen where they're multitasking. You don't know what's going on around them. You don't know what the mood is, the vibe is there. The connection between the two of you is not the same. So, you know, like when COVID came along, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And I've done that a lot in my life. I tend to have this thing where I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And and then you know, sometimes I decide I'm going to go do this. But one of my biggest character flaws for sure is I'll go, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'll walk away from it, and then I will hope and pray that there is something that I do want to do. And as you get older, sometimes that'll have to be a separate video about midlife, and when you realize that you've done a few things and you've been around the block, and sometimes there's a lack of desire or reason to get out of bed in the morning. But that's a whole nother thing. So COVID came, and like, you know, that was a big dip for everyone, I suppose, in terms of just everything. It hit people hard, you know, particularly monetarily. And then it sort of flattened out, and it was what it was. But it pushed me definitely towards my inclinations to be a hermit, and you know, lay in bed all day and play video games and watch Netflix or whatever. Something a trap I can fall into quite easily. It's a very comfortable place for me to be. It's not too terrible and it's not too great, but it doesn't. It's not bad enough to push you into action. You know. So COVID happens. Anyway, COVID's happening, and there's a lot of fear mongering going on, and borders closing, and what have you, and vaccinations and all that stuff. So I'm sort of like, at this point, I'm wondering, what the hell am I still doing in America? I don't have any money. I don't know what's going on with my parents and my friends, and like, it's just like I felt like I was going to get the pandemic was going to get worse, right? And just all the countries were going to get closed off. And I don't know if you remember that at some points that's how it felt. So I just decided, well, I think I'm going to go back to the UK. I don't know if it's going to be for a little while or for a long time. And that was a very strange experience. Do a whole video on that. That was sort of like crazy, because I took everything that made me feel like a grown adult, you know, a grown man, you know, surrounded by all these things that I had accumulated in this apartment, and I had to just throw everything out or sell it or just get rid of it and clean up the apartment, and then I'd have 2 suitcases that I had to take back to England with me. And that was a weirdly traumatic experience. Like, I know people talk about trauma, but I had a panic attack, and I've only had 2 panic attacks in my life, and they don't present themselves like other people. They're very much more in my head. They're not as physical. But that was a really strange experience, which I'll have to tell you about sometime. Anyway, got back to England. Moved into my dad's house. It's a big old house. Definitely big, but definitely old. It's like a project for him, doing it up. Something that he decided to buy as he sort of retired. And there's room here, and you know, my dad does his own thing, gets on. I can go days without seeing people. There's my dad, my dad's wife, and my smallest brother, and everybody is sort of introverted in the more classical, not the more classical, the more modern sense of the word, in that everyone's just sort of doing their own thing. And so I can go days without seeing people, and that's one of the reasons I feel quite isolated, I suppose, when I'm here. But after a few months, I needed to get a job, because I had no money, and also Christmas was coming up. So I got a job as a security guard at Asda, because it's 25-minute walk. I don't have a car. It's 25-minute walk through fields. I used to do shifts that ended at midnight, and you'd have to walk through this field at midnight, and there'd be like drug addicts and like in the way, or drug dealers and drug addicts and stuff. Man, I got so much content, it's crazy. I could tell you some stories. Like, I feel like every time I do one of these videos, all I'm really doing is touching the surface when there's so much context. Anyway, through fields, go to this Asda, work as a security guard. Turns out, you know, not getting paid much, but turns out it's like one of the best jobs I've ever had. Just brilliant job. Getting to know the community, You know, there's so much to it, like feeling like part of a community within that store, that retail store, dealing with the extraordinarily difficult situations, intense situations which you have to de-escalate, you know. Never really did the bouncer stuff because we're not allowed to touch anyone, but we did bend the rules every now and then. And I've got some really great stories on that, but that'll have to be a separate video. Please remind me in the comments, somebody, to make that video. So then I saved up a bunch of money because I wanted to get a car, right? Because I wanted to get a car. If we get a car in the countryside, that opens up jobs in other places, and you know, sort of, it's the next step up. So I saved up a bunch of money, and I did the classic thing that I do, which is I went, right, see you later. So I quit the job. Please believe me, I am very aware of the choices I've made in life, and I am very aware of the person who puts me up here and the person who puts me down here, and that person is me. It's always me. Like, I'm never going to blame the world or circumstances or anything like that. Although there's one thing that I need to tell you about that happened towards the end. So I left there with some money, and I was like, I'm going to buy a car, and then I'm going to go find this better job, and it's all going to be great. But then I said to myself, why don't I take a few months off? Of course, that was a terrible decision, because those few months started depleting my money, and you know, I just slipped into this sort of hermit type life, and it was comfortable, and again, it was like I was still paying rent, and I felt like I can just exist. I can just exist. It's okay. And I do have to do a midlife crisis video at some point. Anyway, again, the money ran out, and that's where we're at now, basically. There's a lack of desire, a lack of purpose, a lack of dreams. I mean, I think they're there. I think I push them away as things that, okay, well, these are no longer going to happen. So what are you left with when you don't have dreams or desires, or even slight delusions? Because like even a delusion is helpful, gives you something to aim for. Like, that's a difficult one to explain, but like what I'm saying is, I think it was Bielsa at Leeds who said delusion is only delusion until you achieve it, and then it's no longer a delusion, right? So dreams and delusion are kind of similar things to aim for. Just having something to aim for is good, because you don't always get there, but like the journey can take you to many wonderful and different places, and you can achieve things you didn't realize you were going to achieve. But yeah, so one of the things that did actually happen, which wasn't my fault, I don't think, but I did actually get something rather unexpected happen, and that was I got a lesion on my lip, which turned out to be cancerous, well, precancerous Bowen's disease it was called. Had to be treated with chemo creams and stuff like that. That took me out of the game for a number of months. When I think about when I had the lesion on my lip, I looked grotesque. Certainly wasn't going to be turning up to any jobs with that. And then when I was treating it, my whole lower lip looked like a burns victim, you know. It took a good 2 or 3 months out of my life, so that really set me back. That was pretty messed up, and I didn't think that was going to happen to me. I thought I was not somebody who was cancer hasn't been like a big part of my family's life, but when I got the Bowen's disease, I started to find out that actually there has been cancer here and there. So that happened. It's gone now. It's fine. But I do want to end this video by saying I've got like a million things to talk about. I tend to try and keep these videos to 10 minutes, although we're reaching 15 now, mainly because of the YouTube algorithm. That's the main thing. I could talk for hours, but we'll experiment a little bit, I suppose. This will be an experiment to see how this video does. I read all the comments. I love it. My God, I cannot believe like I was expecting to reach 100, maybe get 100 views in my first video, and maybe a few comments, and then maybe like I could build like a following of 10 people who really stuck around, and just build on that. And it turns out that everyone's sort of like just back, and it's crazy. And I'm really sorry if I haven't responded to your comment. I'm finding it really difficult. It takes a long time to go through all the comments and respond to them, but I do love reading them, so please do continue to comment. I do love reading them and liking them, but I have to find out a new system for that, particularly if I put out a video every single day. My YouTube partnership was stripped away from me for inactivity, so I can't make money out of YouTube in that context, but I can make money from Ko-Fi. So if you want to make a donation based on my videos I'm making now, or the content I did in the past and the money I invested, then please do. It's down below in the description box, or probably in my first comment. Ko-Fi, you can pay by PayPal or whatever. Did want to thank some of the people who recently put money in, which was the Gamers State, thank you so much. Pen Knight, you legend, thank you. Lee, thank you again. All of you are legends. Guru J, thank you so much. I think there's more on here actually, but I'll do that tomorrow, I suppose. I was just trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to mention. Oh, promises. Okay, so I have to now go and fulfill. I already did the gardening stuff that I was telling you about, and I got to apply to 3 jobs. I'm going to do that now, and then tomorrow's promise is to go for a run. Okay, sounds good. Good. I love you all. Keep on commenting and saying hello and all the other wonderful things, interactions and stuff. And I gotta stop talking, so I'll see you later.